Air Force C-130 Hercules flight engineers make any flight possible. The enlisted position that sits behind the pilot, making sure all systems are go. They are planning, preparing for any contingency, because you just can't pull over to check the engine at 25,000 feet. They are calm under pressure. This is Stars of Service. Joining me today is retired Air Force Master Sergeant Wayne Bolin. Wayne, how are you doing?
Doing great, Brian. Thanks so much for having me today.
Absolutely. It feels like it's been, I don't know, maybe 2 days since I've seen you.
I think it has been, Brian. I think it has.
So I saw you at the coffee shop there in Fort Mill, and you regularly, you found your place after the military. Has nothing to do with what you did, but we're going to go backwards first. And you were a C-130 flight engineer.
That's correct.
For how long?
I did that from 1990 until 2009, so like 19, 20-ish years.
What exactly is a C-130 flight engineer, so we all know?
Yeah, I like to describe it kind of as a flying mechanic. You know, you're in charge of a lot of systems. If anything goes wrong on the plane, the pilots turn around, look at you and say, hey, what's going on? What do we need to do? And you better know the answer, right? So, yeah.
So you're the only enlisted crew member inside of the cockpit.
That's correct.
So there's no pressure there at all, right?
No pressure at all.
What's an ordinary day like, I guess? Well, I mean, like, truly, what is your job like?
Yeah, so as a C-130 flight engineer, one of the big things you do is you pre-flight the plane. So you go out to the plane, you go through all these checks. Maintenance has already done all their checks, and then you go out and just check all the systems, make sure everything is working, do a good pre-flight. Then you figure out some takeoff and landing data. How fast do we need to be going before we take off? If an engine goes out right as we rotate, do we need to stay on the ground? Can we lift off? That kind of thing. And then once you're airborne, you're running checklist. Hey, it's time to raise the landing gear. Hey, we need to put the flaps up, that kind of.
So it sounds like there's a lot of math.
There's a lot of math involved, right? You need to be good with fractions.
Fractions in a second and everything. So what is it when you're out and about and you're on, whether it be a deployment or a long mission, and you've got all kinds of things going, not against you, but you're under pressure, but I know you. That's you right there. You've got a smile on your face every single day.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you under any type of pressure or stress.
Pressure a lot of times is just an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to do something good. I was taking a test one time, and the guy said, all right, boy, it's time for you to shine. I was nervous as I could be. I didn't know if I was prepared or not, but it's a time to show the training that you've done, how prepared you are, and the things that you know. So when opportunities like that pop up, or it's just time to let loose with all this inside of you.
Tell me one time that was just unordinarily, just incredibly difficult, but you came out like you're smiling right now.
Yeah, so we were in Bagram on my first rotation, and they had, previous to us getting there, they bombed the runway, and so they had just the right side of the runway open. The left side was closed. They had taken out the tower, so the tower was a Humvee down at the end of the runway where we were going to take off from, and they gave us clearance to take off. And what happened was we started rolling. We were heavy. It was high altitude. It's going to be a long time before we could take off, like most of the runway.
Heavy, in other words, you had a full...
We had a lot of cargo, and it was human beings. We were transporting some Army folks back to Kuwait, and all of a sudden I see this dust cloud. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? And they had been using the runway as a road, the part that was closed. But we were overhanging that, our wing was overhanging that side that was closed, and we were in the middle of the right side. And all of a sudden, I look down at the airspeed. I'm like, we're going to have a decision to make. The tower calls us and cancels our takeoff clearance, and the pilot looks back at me and he says, what are we doing? And I'm go. And so it's Chad Kekafer, and he lifted up off the ground, and we take off, and we kind of hover there. And then we start to climb a little bit. And, it's that we're going to hit this guy if we try to stop. So we got to take off. We got to go. Yeah.
That was moment, wasn't it?
It's one of those moments that you can talk about later, but it's kind of what's going to happen here, you know.
Hopefully, it didn't show up like in any type of report or whatever else. But
I don't know where it showed up. I don't get to look at that kind of stuff, but it showed up in stories.
what with that and having tons of stories like that, and having that ability to just smile, be calm through these storms. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's like you don't always have to listen to those voices in your head, right? That person that's saying cancel your takeoff clearance and don't go, don't
Right.
go. You got a decision to make. I'm gonna go. Is it best to go? Is it best to stop? And so I always try to keep a positive attitude, look at things from all sort of different angles, analyze what's going on, and then make the best decision possible. And I'm always looking for there's a song I sing called Mr. Brightsides. I'm not really sure what the song is about, but I always try to be that guy who's looking for the bright side of things,
How do you, and how do you share that with others who are maybe having a little bit of a struggle of getting through those obstacles, those challenges, and they don't have that smile? How do you correlate and just share that magic with them?
Yeah, so it's faith, it's don't let the hard days win. Of course life is hard. Who's the best boat captains, they don't sit around in the harbor. They don't wait for the calmest of seas. They're able to overcome the storms in life. And that's how you become better, is you just battle through all the obstacles. I read a lot of the Bible, of course, and I read a lot of Stoics. And when I say read, I mean, I listen to the audiobook, of course.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but like Ryan Holiday is one of my favorite authors, and he had this book, The Obstacle is the Way. And so, a great life doesn't come from sitting in the harbor. Great life comes from overcoming obstacles. So when life gets hard, that's good, man. This is a chance. This is an opportunity. What are you going to do? Right. Yeah, life threw you a curveball. Are you going to learn to hit the curveball?
We've got to adjust in one way or another.
Right.
Going back to your military days and having that smile on your face, knowing, when you're smooth under pressure and everything, how often were you being called to, be the engineer for hey, we're going to put a crew together to do this? How often were you kind of name picked because of that amazing attitude of yours?
I don't know. I know of at least a couple of times that happened. And it's challenging when that happens, because a lot of times if they're name picking you, it's because, well, I'm going to have this guy and this guy, so I need a strong person here or there.
Right.
And I wasn't the strongest flight engineer, but maybe I was fun to be around. I don't know.
Well, I mean, at least for 20-something years, so absolutely.
Yeah. There was this guy, Robbie Cannon, who I say is the best flight engineer, and I had somebody, they're like, hey, we were on this trip and this happened to us, this exact same thing, Wayne, and Robbie Cannon was able to fix it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you had a good flight engineer last time. Now you got me. This is what we're going to do.
Man, you are awesome. Let's keep you around a little bit longer right after the break, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the things that you've been through and share what you do in your off time.
Sounds great.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Stars of Service. I'm Brian Christensen. Today I am joined with Master Sergeant Wayne Bolin. I unretired you just now. We've got to go back to drill weekends. Probably only funny to a few people who have actually done the whole guard reserve thing. So being
they
there,
still do that drill weekend?
Oh gosh,
yes, they do.
I texted a friend of mine who's still over there, and it was a guard weekend. That's a weekend that they all get activated for one week in a month, and then they go in for 2 weeks during the year or summer or whatever it might be. It's like, how's your weekend going? Shut up. I'm like, oh, okay, sensitive. Talk to me about. Let's go back to our military days. Give me another story, because I know you've got plenty of them.
Oh, man, there's some great stories. Let me tell you about the time we were flying back from Panama. It was late at night, the dead of night. Everybody in the crew's tired.
Not Panama City, Florida.
No, Panama, near the canal.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. and it was in the B model days, so a long time ago.
So B model, just for our friends who don't understand every single type of variation of the C-130.
Sure.
We're talking, when was the B model built?
The B model, the days were, I think, 58 to 61, 62,
Wow.
somewhere in there.
Right.
The age of those planes.
So it's a aging aircraft. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and this was somewhere in the 90s. I won't place an exact date on it, but we're flying back, and as happens sometimes, I dozed off. And so I wake up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I just woke up. Where am I? Oh, I'm in an airplane. This is great. And I look over to my left, and the co-pilot's asleep. I'm like, oh. And I look over to the right, and the other pilot's asleep. Well, at least probably the nav is awake. So I look back behind me, and he's asleep too. And I said, okay, you've got a choice to make here, Wayne. How are you going to wake these guys up and not scare everybody to death? And I looked, we were flying nice and flat. Nobody's screaming at us on the radio trying to wake us up. So I'm figuring that we're still okay. So I clicked the microphone and I said, hey, does anybody want any coffee? And everybody, all the officers in the front are starting to wake up, and they're looking around at each other waking up, and they figured that probably I've been awake. I didn't ever say.
Right.
And they're like, sure, I'll take some coffee. So all three of them, they took coffee. I went and made it in the galley right there. You know, it's just black coffee in a white paper cup.
Right.
And they all drank their coffee. I watched them drink it, and then they're all caffeinated. So I took that opportunity to go back to sleep.
Well, I mean, granted the autopilot is on, but how far out were you all? How close were you to Panama, I guess?
Oh, we were flying back from Panama, and so we were hours still left to fly. We're out over the ocean just droning, and it's a perfect sleep machine that that the C-130 makes.
You did that really well. I literally almost have
the first time.
Not the shakes, but just like, sorry, I'm just going to take a nap right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So you were there in between the B model and then the H model. What was that like, getting the new aircraft smell?
Right? I mean, it was amazing. It's like going from a 1990-something Honda Accord to a new Honda Accord. It's still a Honda Accord, It's still a C-130.
Made in the USA.
Made in the USA, right? But, it's very much updated. The B model was not fitted for night vision goggles. And so when we got the new H2, they called it, built, I believe, in the 90s. So that plane was fitted for night vision goggles. And when I say that, I mean, it didn't have red lights in the cockpit. All the lights were green.
Right. I was going to say, I'm sure there's a few other bells and whistles that came with it. Like
lots and lots of things that came with it.
Espresso machine.
Yeah. It's a hot dog server, all that.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
But yeah, so it was one of those deals where you were reintroduced basically to an upgraded model of something you were very familiar with. So the several things worked a little bit differently, were wired a little bit differently. And so it was a lot of training to go through that to figure out how the new plane worked.
How far had you been in when they went from the B to the H model?
I had been in about 10 years.
Okay. And you guys probably all had to go back to school for a little bit, or?
More or less. We had some folks come in, and train us locally, and we went through a lot of classes, and I was an instructor at the time. And so we would go out together and, we would read it in the book. It says it does this. Now let's go test it on the plane and make sure it actually does this like that.
That's quite, ingenious and everything.
Yeah. I mean, we've got the book, we've got the plane. Let's go make sure they match up.
Right.
Yeah.
Set the favorites on the FM dial and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching C-130 footage that I was able to get from the Pentagon. Granted, there wasn't a lot of Charlotte footage from the 90s that has this high definition look and feel to it. I think these are some of the newer J models flying around and everything. But seeing this stuff, what's it taken? What's your mind like right now? Like, oh, I'd love to get back on that, or?
It's one of those things. I loved my time there.
Right.
And I would do it again in a heartbeat, but that is a young man's game. It is a young man's
My
game.
knees agree with you. Yeah.
There's a lot of equipment that you have to carry around,
Right.
especially when you deploy. And
That's a Charlotte.
that's a Charlotte plane. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, you know.
That was actually the day, and that's my son right there. Didn't mean to
Very
put
nice.
that in there, but this was the last, I guess, the 8-ship flyout. I guess it was in 2016 or something like
Okay.
that. But sorry, go ahead. But yes, my knees feel that. That's to try to get up and do those type of things anymore. It's
Yes.
the warranty's going out.
And like the turbulence in those formations, turbulence basically, you're flying right behind another airplane that's already been there, and it's incredibly bouncy. And there was a guy, Derek Rumfeld's dad, Barry Rumfeld,
Mhm.
and I heard him say one time, "Put me in the back of the formation." I said, "Well, how do you want to be in the back of the formation? That's the worst place to be. It's so bumpy." He just looked at me and said, "When it's too rough for everybody else, it's just right for me."
It's brilliant. That's
That was
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell you what, let's take a quick break. But when we come back, we are going to hear you strumming up a little bit and hear what you're doing now.
All right. Sounds great.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Stars of Service. I'm Brian Christensen. Again, I'm joined by Master Sergeant Wayne Bolin, retired flight engineer. That you have a new flight of life here. This is amazing. So I saw you Friday night at Knowledge Work Coffee House in Fort Mill.
Yes.
And so you regularly play guitars at different little venues like that.
I do. I absolutely love it. I picked up the guitar for the first time actually when I was in flight engineer training out there at school. A classmate of mine had one. He played it regularly, and I went over there and hung out with him for a little bit. That's pretty cool. So I grabbed it, picked it up. He said, "Wayne, if you're going to play this thing, at least hold it the right way." So he flipped it over in my hand, and I just kind of went from there.
You're like, no, I'm really lefty or something.
Yeah.
What? But now you go every weekend and you just you play at different venues.
As often as somebody will have me, Brian. I love it. It's an amazing thing to do. So I play at breweries, restaurants, pubs, anywhere that will have me. I play at parties. I played at a retirement party this past weekend and also an 80th birthday party.
Oh, wow.
Over. So this is great. Meeting new folks. I love it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you also you're not just playing alone, but you've got kind of a partner too.
Yes. So I have a solo thing, and then I have a duo. It's called Fire and Ash. And it was born out of my first solo gig. I met this girl. She came walking up to me, and she said, "Oh, you sound so great. I need your number. I need to share gigs with you."
She's going to appreciate that right there.
Yeah, she's heard it all before. And so we had started a duo. And,
but you left out the best part about the story.
I did.
Yes.
I told her, I said, "That's great. My wife is sitting right over here. Give her your contact information, and we'll be in touch for sure." But I mean, that day, she goes, "I want to sing one with you, Wayne." So she came over and she's like, "What songs do you know?" So we were looking through the little iPad, looking at the list of songs, and she picked out "Keep Your Hands to Yourself" by the Georgia Satellites.
That's awesome.
So we sang that. It's been amazing. So, she's a lot of fun to be around, and she knows a lot of people. And she also has a full band called Velvet Edge. And at the time, she was in a band called, like a duo act with her brother.
Right.
And so that was kind of coming to a close. And so she was looking for a new duo partner. Happened to be the right place, right time.
That's awesome.
It's opened a lot of doors for me, for sure.
Well, this isn't just decoration right now. You're going to actually play for us.
Yes. Yeah.
What are you going to be playing?
All right, so this is a little song I'm working on. A friend of mine, Jason Manos, encouraged me to write it, gave me all sorts of ideas and thoughts about it. It's called Clover. It's about my hometown. We're a couple of railroad tracks rolling through a clover patch. We got a good day on tap between the C and the R. We got a lot of hands to shake. Still got a lot of friends to make. Sometimes it's more than I can take between the C and the R. All right.
That's a great start. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, when did you start writing this?
About a year ago.
It's a 12-month program. It's okay.
It's 12 month. Sometimes you just got to just dive in there and work on it a lot. But it's been, a lot of songs to learn. And so working on this in the spare time, this hasn't been a lot of a spare time,
Well, I can understand why, being at all of these venues on the weekends, and it's like
Yeah.
your own guard weekends again.
It is only, it's mostly every weekend instead of once a month. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you continue to make others just shine because of your smile and your ability to just look at whatever type of pressure, whatever type of challenge, and just, okay, here we go. Let's do it.
Yeah. And, after I got out of the Air Guard, I went to work at a church as a worship leader. So I made a living for a little bit playing guitar and singing. And that was an incredibly fun season and met a lot of incredible people. And there's just something about coming together from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, and joining in and singing a song together, like breathing in together, singing out together. It's like many become one for a few moments, man. And I'm still able to do that out at restaurants and bars and sing along songs. And you should see people sing along when you sing like Country Roads or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And that is so awesome. Wayne, thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate you coming on and continue just to keep on making everyone smile around you, because it's infectious. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for watching Stars of Service.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.